How does a government spend $2.3 billion of your money without anyone officially approving it? Not hacked, not stolen, not siphoned off in secret. It was paid out cleanly through official systems and somehow illegally at the same time. For months, billions of taxpayer dollars left government accounts. The person legally required to approve it? Never told. It sounds impossible. It shouldn't be possible. But it happened. And once you understand how, you'll never look at government spending the same way again. Before we go further, should something like this even be able to happen in a modern democracy? Hold that thought. You'll need it later.
Don't tell me it's impossible to comply with the Constitution and make lawful payments. Surely that is not impossible.
That's what I said.
Well, that's why I'm giving him an opportunity to respond.
No, you're putting words together.
No. I'd say, please contradict me.
Yes.
Please contradict me. And then
I thought you might want to
happily
ignore
let
that
you-
bit because you're trying to make so much of something that's, compared to some of the breaches that happen under your government.
Minister, you shouldn't be so defensive then if that's the case.
I'm not defensive. I'm just trying to explain it was a human error that has been fixed.
Well, and I want to go to that. So, Mr. White, as I understand it, the Treasury's described this in the annual report as a technical breach. What is a technical breach? So it might have been the case then that between the budget and the next financial year, there wasn't much opportunity to pass legislation.
Yeah. We don't know. We don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, Senator, about.
Well, that's true because of the election.
No,
that's 24.
This is 2024.
So there would have been after budget, there's a short amount of winter sittings, and there's the recess. Maybe, Senator, is an answer to that question.
Right.
Here's the headline that stopped people cold. 8 separate payments, nearly $2.3 billion, zero authorisation. These payments came from a government energy relief fund, money meant to help Australians cope with rising costs. Instead, it exposed something far more serious. Because this wasn't a math error, it wasn't loose change lost in bureaucracy. It was a constitutional breach. Australia's constitution is blunt about this. No public money gets spent without lawful approval. No exceptions, no shortcuts. Yet somehow, 8 massive payments went out anyway. And once the first payment cleared, the door was wide open. If that already sounds wild, don't blink. The way this happened is even worse.
Is anyone in fiscal group involved in identifying or remediating the unlawful payment of $2.3 billion?
Damien White, Deputy Secretary Fiscal Group. Yes, Senator.
Great. What can you tell me about when this issue was first identified?
Senator, as we disclosed in our annual report, we have potential breaches of Section 83 of the Constitution.
Sorry, which breach? Sorry?
In our 2024 annual report, we disclosed potential breaches of Section 83 of the Constitution.
Did you say potential?
Potential, yes, Senator.
Are they still potential?
Potential is the technical wording used for this. We are not pretending that they're not breaches of that, but all the legal advice and things that we get about reporting these says we should use those words.
The ANO was pretty clear that it wasn't a theoretical or potential or technical breach.
So the legal advice we get when we look at these things tells us to use those words, and we have used those words. We are not pretending that we don't think they're a breach of Section 83.
Good to know.
That would be consistent with all of the other ones that have been reported in the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we reported those in our annual report, Senator. It was 8 payments made in 2024-25 for the Energy Bill Relief Extension Program. There are 2 aspects of how these work. So when we're thinking about making payments to the states, we think about getting the policy part right, so the right payment, the right amount for the right reasons. That all worked well. We did that perfectly. The administrative parts of the process were the bits that were not done correctly, and that happened when we changed from the original program, so the original Energy Bill Relief Program, and we changed over to the extension program. And it was when that happened that we managed not to do the administrative parts of the program correctly, and that's what we've reported in the annual report.
There is exactly one signature that legally mattered here. The Treasurer's. Jim Chalmers is the person who must authorise spending at this level. No signature, no money moves. Except the money moved. Billions of dollars left government accounts, and the Treasurer didn't sign a thing. Didn't approve it, didn't see it, wasn't even told. Let that sink in. The person responsible for safeguarding public money was completely out of the loop. So how did the system allow payments this large without the one approval it legally requires? That's where the story takes a sharp turn. Because the problem wasn't one failure, it was a chain of failures. And chains only break at their weakest link.
After we made the mistakes, we then identified them as part of our process. So we have processes in place to try and make sure we do these things correctly. We take seriously our role in making the payments properly. For this particular program, Treasury has two roles. So one, it's a Treasury portfolio or Treasury administered payment. It's a payment for our department. But we also run the overall payments to the states function. So every payment to the state from any agency in the Commonwealth comes through us. So we have both those roles. So we picked up that error after we had made them, and then we identified them. We took corrective action. Now, I think you had a different question, Senator, about which I haven't probably not gotten to yet.
You haven't, but that's okay. That was helpful. On what date was each of the 8 payments approved within Treasury systems?
So the payments were made, the first payments were made in October, and they were monthly payments, and they were made from October, and the last payment was in June. There was a gap in the middle around Christmas, Senator, where we wouldn't make payments.
So 8 payments between October and June, so that's literally once a month. Was there a particular date on the month, date of month?
So I think, were they 21st of... So we make payments on the 7th and the 21st, Senator.
So there were fortnightly payments?
We'll have to check.
We might have to check, Senator, but there's a payment done on the 7th of each month and one on the 21st of each month, and these payments would be in one of those dates every month, either all 7ths or all 21st.
Here's the part nobody expects. These payments weren't approved by a minister, not by cabinet, not by a department head. They were approved under something called a delegation scheme. In simple terms, certain officials are allowed to approve spending under specific conditions. This exists so government doesn't grind to a halt over routine decisions. But this wasn't routine. A low-level officer approved the payments, not because they were reckless, but because the system let them. And it gets worse. The program being paid out, it was initially named incorrectly. That mistake was caught, corrected, which sounds reassuring until you realise something critical. They fixed the wrong problem. The real issue wasn't the program name, it was the complete absence of senior authorisation. That second error, no one flagged it. No escalation, no pause, no emergency brake. And once the payments started, they kept going. If you're already thinking this shouldn't be possible, you're right. But we're not done yet.
And how were they told about the second error on the 19th of June?
I don't have that in front of me, Senator. Do you know, Mark? We might have to take that on notice, Senator. I don't know.
Okay. Do you have a clarity about whether this became obvious to the ANAO as part of their normal auditing of Treasury, or whether it was self-reported by Treasury?
No. So we found these errors, Senator, in the process. It's almost so. To go to the how often this happens question, we almost certainly find some of these in the payments to the states function every year, not necessarily our own department's problems, but it's been other departments. We will normally find, our team that does this centralised function of payments to states is normally the team that finds these. That's because you have to be right down in the detail to find them, and the sorts of things that audit office do, unless they do a specific audit, will not find them. Especially, so if they're just doing financial statement audits like they normally do, they will not find them. So we found them, we self-declared them to the audit office and to our internal governance committees, etc., and told the Treasurer, obviously.
Okay. And the first time you publicly disclosed it was in your annual report?
Yes, Senator, in the same way that we've done the same thing for the last several years at least.
Okay. There's no other kind of reporting mechanism you're expected or required to do?
No, not outside of Treasury that I know of, Senator, no.
Did anybody tell the states, oh, sorry, that payment we made to you is not technically legit?
I don't believe so, Senator.
I mean, they're probably just happy to have the money, but didn't think to give them a call and let them know?
Well, I don't believe so. If that's not right, we'll correct the record.
The most dangerous part of this story isn't the mistake. It's the silence. Senior leadership didn't know, the Treasurer didn't know, and even the Treasury Secretary, Jenny Wilkinson, wasn't informed until after the fact. During Senate hearings, officials admitted this openly. No alarms, no urgent emails, no red flags pulled, just quiet continuation. And this reveals the real problem, a system where everyone assumes someone else will raise the issue, a culture where escalation feels optional, where bad news travels slowly, where responsibility gets diluted across layers of bureaucracy. Jenny Wilkinson even said she believed matters like this should be brought to the Secretary. Should be. But they weren't. And while nobody spoke up, the payments continued. If silence can cost billions, what else is slipping through unnoticed?
Who ultimately has authority within Treasury in terms of their level of employment, SES, EL, Deputy Secretary, whatever, to make that approval?
So, part of the reason that I said that the problem arose because we went from the original payment to the extension payment is that there are two pathways through the Federal Financial Relations Act you can make payments to the states, and we actually changed the pathway between the two payments. So in the first payment, it has an authorised, so all these payments have authorisations from the Treasurer down to people in Treasury to do the administration of authorised payments. So those first ones, under the original energy bill relief, went down to Band 2 SES. Band 1 SES, sorry. Band 1 SES. It covered all SES in Treasury. The second payments had an authorisation that was different and only went down to Band 2 SES. And effectively that is a main reason for our problem.
Explain that to me, I don't understand.
So the person who was authorising, or the position that was authorising original payments was a Band 1 SES.
Yep.
That delegation went all the way down to Band 1 SES. When we changed to the extension, effectively, this is the only program that we know of where a program has changed the pathways through which it's gone. And so when we went to the extension one, we had then a Band 1 SES approving the payments, and they were not one of the people authorised in that delegation because it only stopped at Band 2 SES, so one level above.
Right. Okay. So what is the approval that Band 1 and then Band 2, or Band 2 then Band 1, SES officer lacked?
So sorry, it's the same Band 1 officer who was approving all of them.
Right.
So in the original program, we had a delegation from the Treasurer that says everyone down to a Band 1 officer can approve it.
Yes.
A Band 1 officer was approving it,
yes,
totally, legally and properly.
I see.
When we moved to the second one, we moved to the other pathway. The delegation instrument did not go down to Band 1 anymore, it stopped at Band 2. And that's the thing we missed, right? So the same Band 1 person who is responsible for the program was still authorising it.
But they no longer had
they no longer had the right delegation, Senator.
This wasn't a one-day glitch. It unfolded over months. Each payment reinforced the illusion that everything was fine. Each approval normalised the last. By the time the problem surfaced, nearly $2.3 billion had already gone out the door. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Every system that failed here, approvals, oversight, escalation, is the same system used for Medicare, disaster relief, infrastructure projects, social services. So ask yourself something honestly. If this can happen quietly once, why wouldn't it happen again? If you're still with me, drop a comment telling me whether you think this was incompetence or something deeper, because what comes next makes that question unavoidable.
Well, that's my kind of final point, is how confident are you that this won't happen again?
So we went through, when we found the error, we went through all the payments we had been making, and found no other errors. We have a system that tries to pick up all the errors, has checks and balances to make sure we do it. We think we minimise the chances of errors, but as you can see when we report against this in our annual report and the payments to the states thing, the CFS, it's actually almost impossible to prevent every single error in these. So I can't sit here and promise you that we won't make an error again. I can just say that we have put in place the processes we best think stops these things.
Sure, but don't tell me it's impossible to comply with the Constitution and make lawful payments. Surely that is not impossible.
That's not what he said.
Well, that's why I'm giving him an opportunity to respond.
No, you're putting words together.
No. I'd say, please contradict me.
Yeah.
Please contradict me.
Senator, I cannot sit here and promise you that we will not make an error ever again, right? I can sit here and promise you that we will put in place processes that we think best meet all the things we need to do and minimise that entirely. We cannot stop every human error in this process. There are humans in these things.
Sure, but a good system means that a human error doesn't cause
should be
something
picked
to
up.
be... Exactly.
Agreed. No, I agree with that entirely. But it is also true that some things find their way through systems.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to promise you we can't make an error and have to come back here next year.
No, that would be...
This story isn't really about energy rebates. It's about trust. You trust that when your money is taken, it's tracked, approved, protected, that safeguards exist, that constitutional rules aren't optional. But this failure shows how fragile that trust really is. Because when systems fail like this, it's not just technical. It erodes confidence, it undermines accountability, and it creates space for even bigger failures to hide. Your tax refunds, your benefits, your personal data, all of it depends on the integrity of systems like this. And when those systems fail quietly, the damage isn't just financial, it's psychological. You start to wonder what else you're not being told. Here's the question nobody wants to answer. Who is responsible? Not who was involved, not who processed the payments, but who faces consequences. So far, no resignations, no penalties, no clear accountability. Responsibility has been spread so thin it's almost invisible. Low-level officer, delegation scheme, process failure, systemic issue. Everyone touched it, no one owns it. And that's the most dangerous outcome of all. Because when no one is held accountable, the lesson learned isn't fix the system, it's this is survivable. If you believe someone should be held responsible, say what accountability looks like to you. Because without it, nothing changes. This wasn't just incompetence. It was design. A system optimized for speed, not scrutiny, for efficiency, not escalation, for plausible deniability, not responsibility. Layers upon layers where no single person feels empowered or obligated to stop the machine. And once that culture takes hold, mistakes don't get corrected, they get repeated. Because if a $2.3 billion breach can be explained away as administrative error, what's the limit next time? 5 billion? 10? The only reason this was caught is because someone eventually asked the right question. And that leads to the one question that won't go away. If $2.3 billion can disappear once, what's stopping it from happening again? This wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a typo. It wasn't a single bad decision. It was a cascade of failures, a culture of silence, and a system that treats constitutional safeguards as flexible. Until transparency becomes non-negotiable, until escalation is mandatory, until accountability is real, there is no guarantee the next breach won't be even bigger. If you believe public money should never move without oversight, share this. If you believe constitutional rules matter, make noise. And if you're still watching right now, say whether this changed how you see government spending, because awareness is the only reason this didn't stay buried. And next time, we might not be lucky enough to catch it.